Joy, I know you were thrilled to see the Dolphins get the dub. Is that Dolphins teal?
Oh, is it? Yes.
Is it Dolphins teal? I see what you did there. What did you learn from that Dolphins victory yesterday?
I learned the Dolphins are real contenders this year. They are the real deal. That was, I mean, I don't want to be hyperbolic here, but it was one of the biggest wins in the last 20 years for the Dolphins. I mean, this is a team that has struggled a lot, has gone through a lot of turnover with coaches, with quarterbacks, systems. It's been a rough go for Dolphins fans. And that win is a solidifier that not only are they building something there, but that Tua is on the right track and is getting better every single week. You can say whatever you want, and Bills fans did. It's too hot. It's too hot in Miami. Listen, there's a reason they redesigned that stadium the way that it did. You have home field advantage if you're Miami in September. It's hot there, that's what it is. Like when you go to Buffalo and it snows in the winter, that's what it is. It's home field advantage. Of course, Buffalo, we know, was missing a lot of pieces, but you beat the team that's out there. And had Buffalo won, all anyone would have said about Miami is how, they're not really there yet. They're not really ready yet. So give Miami their flowers. They put it together. The defense was incredible. The defense has been playing incredible. And, Tua did have a moment there. I was very nervous. Didn't think he was going to be back out there. I was surprised, as you were, to see him back out there. But that was a big, big-time win. And by all accounts, by the numbers, a game that Miami shouldn't have won.
And not at all. But it was a huge win for the Dolphins. Shady, what do you make of that win? What'd you learn?
I learned a lot from that game. First of all, I got to give Tua his credit and his flowers. I learned how tough he really is. You hear so much talk about, is he a competitor? Does he love the game? Is he happy there? Can he win? Yes. The guy got knocked out. I don't want to say knocked out. He got hurt.
He got knocked out the game.
Oh, he got hurt. No. He got hurt.
Yeah, he left the game.
No, he got hurt. Let's not say he got knocked out. He got hurt. Anyway, he came back, and that shows a lot from, a player. I love that, right? And I know you've been in the media for a long time now. You've been removed from the game. I just get removed from the game, so I'm still fresh. When I see my quarterback go out the game and come back in, that fires up the team, the defense, the offense, the linemen. You love to see that. And then the second biggest thing I've seen was that they're for real. The Dolphins are for real. I'll tell you this, America. The Dolphins are an elite team, right? Playoff caliber team, maybe first seed type team. I don't know. Tua's leading in the right direction, so I like what I've seen so far.
Legit contenders, playoff caliber team. Dave, what did you learn about the Dolphins?
I mean, I think that sets it up perfectly, and Joy alluded to it too. The thing that is so impressive to me, and you talk about Tua, his grit coming back. Maybe he shouldn't have, but he did. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. We've said it a million times. We're going to do so many segments about those guys. That's not why the Dolphins won. Their defense balled out of control. And that was the takeaway. I knew the offense would be pretty good. They spent the resources to do that. But to limit Josh Allen the way that they did, and they did limit him. He had 400 yards. He needed 63 attempts to get there. He was averaging 6 per attempt. By the end of that game, he was skittish because their pass rush was getting to him so consistently. Xavier Howard, we know he's a dog. How about my guy, Javon Holland?
Beast.
If you don't know his name, I mean, one of the best young safeties in the game. 2 pass breakups, had the strip sack early in the game. The way their defense won this game, because this God bless.
Can we explain what's going on here? Y'all can't just throw that video on there and we not address it.
I love that. Hey, that's what the Dolphins defense did to the Buffalo Bills right there.
So that is Bills offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, former University of Miami quarterback, at the end of the game, livid, throwing his papers down at the desk, obviously because the Bills ran out of time. The Bills lost the game. Now, dare I say I learned nothing. And the reason I say I learned nothing is because we all, to some degree, came on the show on Friday and we said the Dolphins were going to be competitive. I went as far as to say the Dolphins were going to win. Only reason I said that, we knew who the Bills were missing defensively, and the Dolphins did, in fact, get the W. But why I learned nothing is I knew Tua was tough. You knew Tua was tough.
I didn't know that.
Go back to college.
I won't lie to you.
Go back to college. Dude had his whole hip essentially ripped to shreds and still comes back to be a starter by his rookie season in time. So I never questioned Tua's toughness. I knew the Dolphins could play some defense because we saw during the second half of that Ravens game when they finally tightened things up. I was like, okay, outside of giving up that big play to Rashad Bateman and letting Lamar Jackson gash you via miscommunication, y'all actually can play some consistent defense when y'all communicate. I get you there. What I learned about the Bills, though, was this. The Bills are 0-7 in their last 7 games decided by 1 possession or less. That's what I actually did learn. Like, Joy, when I really think about the game, Dolphins didn't teach me much. And unfortunately, watching the game, I realized come the third quarter, I got to toss it out. Because Tua got hurt. So if the Bills win, I'm like, well, Tua was playing nicked up. The Dolphins' whole secondary was out. So when the Dolphins won, I'm like, man, let me see the rematch come like week 14, week 15.
We're not tossing this out.
Yeah.
No way are we tossing this out.
Had to.
No, why?
Because if the Dolphins...
The matchup that mattered
What's that?
was Josh Allen against the Dolphins defense. The Dolphins won that. I don't care what's going on with Tua.
Here's why I can't just say it with my chest like I want to, but I can't. Bills missed a field goal late. Not late. Bills missed a field goal there, and obviously that field goal could have been the difference in the game. Josh Allen, the Bills still had 497 yards of total offense. I'm not a huge believer
on
in
90
yards.
plays.
See, hold up. You making
on
excuses.
90 plays.
That's football.
Of course.
That's football. So even with like they talked about guys cramping up, getting hot. It's Miami. When we played Miami when I was in Buffalo, that's all we talked about. Hydration. It was so crazy that they would give us like crates of water, crates of Gatorade, pickle juice to take home because we knew what type of game it would be. The same thing when they come to Buffalo late in the year. They don't want to play. I'm a running back. I can tell when the guy wants to hit me. I'm like, he don't want to hit me. Because the weather matters. It's all about getting the advantage. So I don't want to hear no excuses. It's football. They won that game.
I'm not giving an excuse. It's saying this. The Dolphins did win the game. I said the Dolphins were going to win the game. I'm glad they won the game. Hopefully my score predictions is still a bigger lead.
Okay.
But I say it like this, Joy. I don't leave that game saying, man, the Dolphins are a significantly better team than the Bills. I leave that game saying, man, the Dolphins beat the Bills, and right now, based on health, I'm going to put the Dolphins ahead of the Bills, but I'm not going to change my Super Bowl prediction.
I'm real quick. This right now. Are the Dolphins number 1 in the league?
Yes, to me.
Okay,
right now.
Then that's what I learned from you. Because you didn't have them a week ago, number 1.
No, I had them top 3.
So what I learned is that now you think they're number 1.
Fair. That's fair. Do you leave this game as a Dolphins fan, and I know you talk about it all the time, you're triggered because you never want to get too high on the Dolphins, but do you leave this game saying confidently the Dolphins can win the AFC now, they can win the AFC East now, or are you just kind of like, I'm a little trepidatious with my belief? Like, where do you stand?
I think I went into this game last week saying that if they won this game, it means a lot. No matter how they win this game, because of what the Dolphins have been year in and year out, time after time. This is an important win. The Bills are at the top of the AFC East. You picked them to go to the Super Bowl and win. I picked them. I picked Josh Allen to win MVP. Everyone was full Bills hype train before the season. And just because they lost this game doesn't mean that you should be off of the Bills hype train. They are still a great team. And if you want to go week to week with who the best team is, that's fine. I think the Dolphins are better right now, like you do. If you still think the Bills are, that's not an outrageous statement. That's not how the NFL works. Week to week, just because you lost, you think the Colts are a better team than the Chiefs because they lost to the Colts? I certainly don't. Definitely. I guess we'll have that conversation eventually. But the point is, you need statement wins like this with young quarterbacks. You need those cornerstones that you can point to, like the Ravens game. Why was the Ravens game so important? The Patriots win was, okay, we don't think much of the Patriots in division. Tua don't have no problem with Belichick anyway. But why was the Ravens win was so important? Because you were down big.
Huge.
You rallied, you made adjustments, and you made a run to come back against a good team. Why was this win important? Because they're the top of the AFC. They're the Bills. They've won it the past several years. You have to take them down. You have to build on things throughout the season. So it wasn't just another win. No matter who's out on the field or not, you play the team you play. And again, had the Bills won this game, everyone would be all up in all of our mentions talking about how the Dolphins aren't really for real. They can't really beat the good teams. It was a fluke against the Ravens. So now you have to give them their due. And I don't want to hear anything about the Heat.
I'm with you on that. Wholeheartedly. You've mentioned important wins. Let's talk about a massively important loss. Kansas City Chiefs took a loss yesterday to one of the worst teams in football, the Indianapolis Colts. Oh, it was not pretty at all. Dropped touchdowns, dropped punts, indecisiveness in the end of the first half. It was ugly all the way around. Squad, I got to go as far as to say that this loss, to me, it's a big deal. Shady, it's a big deal for this reason, not because I think the Colts are better than the Chiefs. That would be asinine. Right. But the Chiefs have forever had a fairly huge margin of error. When you had Tyreek Hill, when you had Travis Kelce, you could afford to muff a punt. You could afford to miss a field goal. You could afford to miss an extra point because you still got Tyreek Hill. Right. You still got Travis Kelce. Of course. But now that you don't have Tyreek Hill, your margin of error isn't as great.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Chiefs, and we all saw Eric Bieniemy and Patrick Mahomes get into it at the end of the first half. Why did they get into it? Because Eric Bieniemy did not want to advance the ball late in the end of the first half, and Patrick Mahomes is like, bro, let's go score.
Right.
But Eric Bieniemy's like, hey, we don't have Tyreek Hill anymore, big dog. So how do you anticipate we're going to go 55 yards down the field without our most explosive down the field player? We're not. Let's play it safe. Next thing you know, erosion and eruption. I think the loss was a big deal because it showed me the Chiefs don't have the same margin of error as they used to. Where do you stand? Big deal, no deal?
Nah, it's not a big deal at all. If you really watch that game like I watched it, first of all, the Chiefs are really, really well coached by Andy Reid. That's one. They got Patrick Mahomes, so that's like safe. That's like insurance, okay? When I look at the game, they had the game won. Chris Jones had a big sack, like fourth quarter with like 4 minutes left.
4 minutes, 4:58.
The refs got to stop that. He laid on us. He said a little this, little that, and they threw a flag. Right? Gave him a whole first down. Like that's crazy. They had 3 crazy special teams plays, right?
Yep.
Muff punt.
2 punts, 1 kick
and then what about the missed field?
Missed field goal and missed extra point.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And then they went for the fake field goal. So all that in there, and they still almost won the game. I think they'll be safe. Now, one thing I will say real quick about what you just said, you're right. They're not as scary offensively without Tyreek Hill. You can watch it, like, as a defender, they don't look scared. They don't look scared of the Chiefs' offense. I mean, they're still good, but they're not scared. And last point, Kelsey, he dropped the touchdown, which will never happen. 9 out of 10 times he's going to catch that ball, they'll be celebrating. So let's not get crazy. The Chiefs are in good shape.
Good shape, big deal, no deal.
You laid that out so perfectly, Shady. I'm so happy.
I normally do.
I'm so happy for you.
My guy.
Like you did a really good job of making it sound like the margin for error was razor thin. Like the Chiefs only messed up one thing. They messed up everything.
Yeah.
Sky Moore gave the Colts a possession inside the 5. That was one of their 2 touchdown drives. They miss a field goal. They miss an extra point. You probably don't need to go for the fake in a game where the Colts offense was doing so little. And then on top of all of that, Chris Jones gets the penalty. They should have won this game by like 11 to 16 points. Yeah. And it all snowballed and they didn't. But they're fine. And no, their offense doesn't look as explosive. It's week 3. They're coming together. Juju, Juju played this game. He had 90 yards.
Real quick, did you see that? He gets no separation. Hold on, real quick.
They don't have that guy.
That catch he had, that was great coverage. He just caught it.
Great catch.
You see the next play what happened, right? When they needed the most to get field goal range, got knocked down. Give me that. No separation.
It's going to come. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have to adjust the way he plays because he just doesn't have that game breaker like Tyreek Hill, but I think they're going to be.
Joy, take us home on this. Big deal, no deal?
No deal. No deal. There are actually 3 phases of the game.
Right.
We talk about offense and defense, but there's special teams as well, which score points. So if you don't do that and you're making mistakes, putting them in a bad situation, there's only so much you can recover from, and they almost recovered from that.
Right.
That's a good thing. You're so good that you had that many mistakes on an entire phase of the game, and still were right there to win the game if Chris Jones doesn't get that penalty. The game was over, and they give them that gift. And look, like, it's a nice win for the Colts. You should feel good about it. It's not your fault that the Chiefs couldn't do anything right yesterday, but that's the point. They couldn't do anything right. You have less of a margin for error. I would agree with you there. You don't have that knockout blow. That doesn't mean that you can't still win and win by a lot, but you're not going to be able to recover from that many mistakes. Going into the game, they were 2nd in scoring in the league, 2nd in net yards per play, 5th in total offense, and they led the league in passer rating. They'll be all right.
They'll be okay.
Shady, I got one question for you before I take us to break. The reason I'm worried, and go back here because you were on the field on this day, you led the team in rushing in attempts and in yards. It was 2019, December 8th. The Chiefs are playing the Patriots. It's week 14. The winner of this game will have a 2 seed and the bye. The loser of this game ends up being the Patriots. They end up losing in the first round of the Titans. Y'all go on to win the Super Bowl that year. The Patriots blocked a punt. They end up getting a touchdown 2 plays later. Patrick Mahomes had an interception, and you all also lost a turnover battle, but y'all still won the game. When you assess that Super Bowl Chiefs team that you were on and this Chiefs team that you saw yesterday or this Chiefs team from this season, what concerns you most between those differences?
I think from back then when I was there, the big plays capability that we can, any given moment, right? If we need 30 yards, 40 yards, we can get it with a 5-yard pass. Now I don't see that. For example, if you watched the game yesterday, the best cornerback, Gilmore, for the Colts, who was he guarding? The tight end, Travis Kelce. Our best cornerback is guarding our tight end. Tyreek Hill's gone. He's our best wide receiver now. That's the difference. They're not as scary, and it makes Pat have to be perfect.
Yeah.
The speed is different. Not just running, but speed, with talent, with catching abilities, with skill. It's not there, man.
I do not think yesterday's loss is an indictment on the Colts yesterday. I think yesterday is an indictment on the Chiefs yesterday. I think yesterday's loss is an indictment on the Chiefs of tomorrow. But I guess we got to wait till tomorrow to find out.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.